Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, back at it with another New York Giants video. Today, updates just keep coming, guys. It's probably my third video, and right now it's all about Kyle Rudolph, and what the hell that came from, I have no idea. Kyle Rudolph, Giants signed him, 2-year maximum deal of $14 million, so that would average out about $7 million per year, but there's a lot of incentives built into this contract so that he has to reach some certain benchmarks to actually make the full $14 million. I imagine that the dead money for next season, or rather 2022, is going to be low. That way the Giants can cut him after 1 year and feel pretty good about moving forward with minimal guaranteed money on the books, if any. So I think this contract, they probably structured it pretty safe, considering he's a 30-year-old tight end. You know, he's been in the NFL for quite some time, since 2011, so about 10 seasons now. He's been the definition of consistent for the most part. I think that this is actually a good signing. Based on the incentive portion of this contract, he's not getting $14 million straight up guaranteed. He has to earn it, you know, and that's what I like about these contracts, especially for a player who's been consistent his entire career. He has to earn those benchmarks. He has to get them and reach them to actually make his money, which only benefits the Giants. You know, worst case scenario, they end up paying minimal money toward him, and best case scenario, he ends up being a monster and balling out with the Giants and making the full $14 million. That would be a good thing, because that means he produced on the field and we got the most out of him. But just to review what he's done the past couple years, he played 12 games in 2020, but before that, he played 6 seasons in a row. Actually, it was rather 5 seasons without missing a game. 5 seasons consecutively without missing a game until last year, where he played in 12 total games. He picked up 334 yards and 1 score, but the year before that, he had 367 yards, similar yardage totals, but 6 touchdowns. And in 2018, he had 634 yards and 4 scores. He was a Pro Bowler twice in his career, 2012 and 2017, so he was like 3-4 years removed from his last Pro Bowl appearance, where he had about 530 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that's pretty solid number. His catch rate is phenomenal. The guy doesn't drop the ball very often. He had a 75.7% catch rate last season and 81.3% in 2019. And one interesting statistic is that he's credited with 73 catches and 0 drops on the last 90 targets over the past 2 seasons. So you're not getting another Evan Ingram that's going to drop the ball. It's going to be a turnover. It's going to be an interception. This guy holds on to the football. And I just watched his lone touchdown from 2020 was a one-handed grab in the end zone. He got both feet in. The guy can catch the ball. It's pretty phenomenal what he's capable of doing. So I think this is a really good signing for the Giants based on the incentives of the contract. It's not a crazy amount, probably a little bit more than I would have liked to play at tight end, especially with Levine Toilolo, Caden Smith, and Evan Ingram on the roster. But that does have implications for those guys. You know, this is something that it's worth talking about. What happens to those tight ends? Because carrying 4 tight ends into the season, especially 4 capable ones, it doesn't make much sense. You know, a lot of people will ask now, what about Evan Ingram? Are we going to trade him? And it's definitely possible that they do trade Evan Ingram. Why? Well, you probably know why. The drops, the interceptions he forced, you know, just a lot of things that he did wrong last season. He's not the best run blocker. But there's an interesting thing to know about this. If the Giants were to cut him straight up, they wouldn't save any money. His contract is fully guaranteed, $6 million, about a little bit more than $6 million is fully guaranteed. So if they were to cut him pre-June 1st, post-June 1st, doesn't matter, they would lose that entire $6 million. If they trade him, however, that entire $6 million goes with him. So you still save that $6 million. Kyle Rudolph fits Jason Garrett's scheme to perfection. The Giants love to use 12 personnel, love to use 2 tight ends, and Kyle Rudolph is a guy who can catch the ball adequately. He reminds me of Rhett Ellison, who also was a former Viking, but with a little bit better hands. He's a good pass blocker. All the tight ends in the NFL last year, he was the 5th ranked pass blocking tight end with a minimum of 200 snaps. So that's a pretty solid grading out there for him. It's per PFF. I know some people don't give them much credibility, but he is a very refined pass blocker, and he's good in that scenario. He's about an average, maybe a slightly above average run blocker. I'd probably level him out at average, though, at his age and stuff. But, you know, he is 31, so he is getting up there in age, and I think the Giants made this deal because they wanted to get Jason Garrett a big body in the short yardage situations. They can push the field with guys like John Ross, with guys like Darius Slayton, and hopefully Kenny Galladay. You know, we're still waiting on that news to break eventually. So, you know, with Kyle Rudolph, he'll be a very pivotal part in Jason Garrett's scheme, very Jason Witten-like. So, you know, we'll see how they utilize him moving forward. But even in 12 personnel, you know, they can roll him off play action. They can do things with him. You can't do that with Levine Toilolo very much. He's not fast, not really much of a pass catcher. But I think if Evan Ingram doesn't get, you know, traded, Caden Smith will probably be the odd man out, maybe land on the practice squad. We'll see what happens there. But, you know, I like Caden Smith. I think he deserved more opportunities over the past couple of years, especially last season. But, you know, it is what it is. NFL's a business. They got to make tough decisions based on personnel sometimes. Kyle Rudolph, though, interesting player. You know, I listed off a bunch of the positives. The cons, he's older, maybe a little bit washed at this point. Definitely not who he was in 2017. They're probably just trying to squeeze whatever juice is left from him and try to get some production just moving forward. He has 40 career red zone receiving touchdowns, which is tied 8th most in the NFL. Which is pretty incredible. He's a 6'6" red zone body that, you know, the Giants want to put on their offense and really get Daniel Jones some more weapons in that area of the field. So I think it's a positive signing because of that and because he's a decent pass blocker. And he can get it done. The run game is about average. So, you know, that's all we need based on what we've had in the past. But guys, thank you so much for tuning to Fireside Giants. You know, listen to me ramble on about Kyle Rudolph, what he offers this team. You know, obviously we're doing a live stream later at 7:30. Hope to see you guys there. Going to be a lot of fun. Talk about this exactly. A lot more stuff with Kenny Galladay, stuff that I'm hearing and whatnot. So I'm excited to talk to you guys again. We had a great time on Wednesday evening. But as always, thank you so much for all the support. We'll catch you guys on the next video.